Good evening, this is Family Life Update and I'm Maricel Badilla.
I'm Bianca Heliro and here are this week's top news on family and life.
In the Philippines, a growing number of HIV cases. At a time when many countries are seeing their HIV infection rates level off or decline, the Philippines is going in the opposite direction. You wonder why? I mean, we've been talking about it for weeks and weeks, the RH bill, but anyway, let's finish this news story and I'll elaborate. The Department of Health, DOH, is sounding the alarm over the increasing number of Filipinos diagnosed with the human immunodeficiency virus, or HIV. At least 450 new HIV-positive cases were recorded in May 2013. This is the highest monthly number of new HIV cases since the HIV and AIDS registry was set up in 1984. The total number of reported cases now stands at 13,594. I mean, well, I think we should go on and see. This is really shocking to me. Yeah.
HIV causes a condition called AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, an incurable symptom of failing immune system which eventually leads to death. Of the new cases recorded last May, just a couple of months ago, 398 or 96% were men, of which 55% belong to the 20 to 29-year-old age group. So those are the yuppies.
Yeah, they just graduate from college. Most of them, I think, are in like call centers, and they have really different
erratic schedules,
and I think it just breeds there.
99% of the HIV cases in the country were caused by sexual contact, and I'm supposing 1% is from blood transfusion or other causes. Around 8 out of 10 HIV cases were caused by men having sex with other men, according to the DOH. Metro Manila has the most number of HIV cases since 1984, with about half of the total, while almost 1 in every 5 HIV cases come from the OFW sector.
I mean, this is sexual promiscuity. I mean, that's not sugar-coated. If you're distributing condoms, people will have more sex.
It's the culture that's being
and it's not the Filipino culture, because we're conservative, we're very religious, have strong faith, we're really into families, and you know, it's surprising that this is coming up because we're really pushing condoms down people's throats, and this is what's happening. If people have more sex, even if they use a condom, you'll have more disease. That's just the truth.
Exactly.
And stop covering up the truth. That's the truth. Domestic and international HIV experts have been warning for a while that the Philippines has all the necessary ingredients for an HIV epidemic. They put partial blame on the lack of access to tools that prevent infection, such as condoms and educational programs. They are missing the point.
So now they're using it for themselves.
They don't realize that, like in other countries, let's say Thailand, they started giving out condoms early. They didn't have the restrictions that we had here, and now they have such a high case of HIV. And we're catching up because we're doing the same thing they're doing. Why don't we learn from our neighbors?
And I think they're focusing on the wrong solution, which is the tools, condoms and all that. They should focus on educational programs.
I agree, education. The proliferation of social media networks and online dating sites in the Philippines has also made casual sexual encounters extremely accessible. I mean, it's all about values. At the end of the day, values. If people just think they can do anything they want and get away with it without consequences, this is what happens. I mean, there are always consequences to our actions.
And now for some good news, finally.
Please, good news.
Marriages in Singapore hit 50-year high. More couples in Singapore are tying the knot than at any point in the last 5 decades.
50 years, wow.
While the number of divorces is on the decline. Bravo
Singapore. Lee Kuan Yew, bravo.
About 27,000 unions were registered last year, the most since records began in 1961. Sociologists and experts said couples could be taking the plunge due to a fairly stable global economic outlook and the success of initiatives to promote family and parenthood.
They're promoting family, they're promoting parenthood. Instead of limiting family, you know, you only have one child, 2 children. Here they're promoting, get married, have children.
Yeah, and they're encouraging people to get married. That's why they have a 50-year high.
However, the Department of Statistics figures showed that the median age for first-time marriages has remained the same, at 28 for brides and 30 for grooms. Experts attribute this to many young people wanting to establish a career before they get married. The other piece of good news was a drop in the number of civil and Muslim divorces and annulments from 7,604 in 2011 to 7,241 last year, the first decline since 2005. I think if you were really prepared for marriage, for a family, then of course you'll see the divorce rate go down. And that's what we need to focus on, values again. Now, moving on to our next news story, this time in Pakistan. Early marriages cause population boom. It's like a flip side to Singapore. Later marriages, now earlier. According to the Pakistan Population Welfare Department, early marriages are causing the country's population explosion. Marriage at an early age is a reality for many girls in Pakistan, and parents force their daughters to get married at an early age due to cultural, social, and financial reasons.
So I would think that that's
the dowry, maybe the dowry thing.
To improve their financial status
their lot in life. The average age of marriage in Pakistan is about 17 years, which is one of the lowest in the world. About 19 out of 100 girls in Pakistan give birth to their first child by the age of 18, bringing with it a heightened risk of complications to the life of mother and child.
With an average of 3.8 children for each family, Pakistan's fertility rate is one of the highest in the world, while its contraceptive prevalence rate is the lowest at 30%. It is feared that if the population of the country continues to grow at 2.2%, it is likely to double in the next 35 years, making Pakistan the fourth most populous country in the world. Pakistan's population currently stands at about 184 million, which compared to the Philippines is
double. I think it's double. Yeah.
Experts say that early marriages is one of the major causes of high fertility. Hence, proposals are underway to pass legislation to raise the legal age of marriage and create greater awareness about the negative impact of early marriages as well as the benefits of a small and healthy family.
I have two things to say about this. First, there's nothing wrong with a big population. There's a lot of room for everyone to get around, and if people share, then good. A good population, good society, values-based. But I agree that, prepare before you get into marriage. Prepare before you start.
And that's why that's a good move to raise the legal age.
Yeah, that's a good move. And of course, you have to have the programs of government to prepare the women and prepare the men for marriage. Yeah. But high fertility, large population, more children, I don't have a problem with that. So, good and bad, Pakistan, give you a B. Grade of B. On the lighter side, we bring you our featured topic this week. Let's hear it from Maricel Badilla.
Good evening, friends. I'm Maricel Badilla, and tonight I bring you a topic that is close to my own heart, the issue of your child's early education. So today's feature is entitled, Is Your Baby School Ready? The basic question that we ask ourselves as parents is, why do we want to send our children to school? Initially, the K-12 program is actually for children from 5 years old and above. And in this program, we are not actually required to send our children to school prior to kinder. However, a lot of families want to send them to school for various reasons. And I'd like us to ask ourselves what the main reasons for sending our children to school would be. First is, possibly the main reason is you're a working mom. And as such, your children are normally left with nannies or with other relatives who stay at home. So as such, we want our children to grow and their learning environment will be better than that of the house. So we send them to preschool or to play school. Another possible reason would be for the socialization skills of our children. Normally, especially if your children are alone in the house, or especially if you only have one child, they don't have other children to relate with. So you normally want to have other children that they can play with. So for socialization, you send them to school. And lastly, possibly your neighbors or your friends are sending their 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds to school. And that sort of gives you a little pressure on why your own children are still at home. So given the specific reasons, you yourself will be able to determine the right age for your children. So if you still are unable to determine that age, I'd like to help you by sharing with you a website. It's called Baby Center, where you can enroll your children in terms of the developmental milestones that your children should be achieving at certain points in their life. And these developmental milestones will help you assess the own development of your children. If your children are able to achieve these milestones, then you have nothing to worry, because play at home, entertainment, educational stimulation that is present in the home is able to help them develop normally. But remember, each child is unique. Sometimes your neighbor's children can already be talking or reading at age 2. Don't worry if your children have not been reading or talking at that age as well, because our children develop at different paces. So, if your baby is not ready for school, don't worry. There's no rush. Okay? There are no expensive tuition fees to pay for, except maybe you could have more ideas at home that you can develop and think of so that your children will be intellectually stimulated. In fact, just as a trivia, in Finland, where literacy is at its highest, one of the highest in the world, their children actually start school at age 7. So, no rush, mommies. Okay. So, is he ready? These are some questions that I'd like you to ask yourself as you assess your children to find out if he's ready for school. First, he may be ready for school if he has increased social skills, meaning he doesn't have difficulty being with other children and maybe relating to other grown-ups. Second is, does he allow himself to be separated from you at longer periods of time? Meaning he doesn't experience separation anxiety. If you are able to leave him for blocks of time in a day, then possibly he may be ready for school. Third is he already toilet trained? Is he able to express his needs to go to the toilet, not just to you, but to other grown-ups who can assist him? If he is, then he'd possibly be ready for school. And last, is it just because you want him to have intellectual stimulation? Or you can create this intellectual stimulation activities in your own home? So if the answer to these questions are still a no, what's the alternative? Let me share with you some tips that I myself have also developed and read through the internet and shared learnings from other parents who have young children. Some alternatives that you can do so that your children will keep on developing at a normal pace even in the safety of your own home. First thing is you have to keep TV viewing at a minimum. Okay, meaning less TV, the better. Okay. What are the alternatives if you don't turn on the TV? One is you use videos. There are intellectual videos that you can have on the internet, download from the internet, or you can buy DVDs of educational videos that can help your children recognize shapes, colors, letters, and numbers. Okay. There are also a lot of educational toys. Blocks, for example, puzzles. These are tools by which our children will increase their creativity and develop their imagination. There are also a lot of books that are appropriate for a certain age group. So I'd like you to go to the nearest bookstore and look at age-appropriate books. You can even bring your son or your daughter along so that you know which books would appeal to him, and definitely bring home most of these books that he will pick up himself. You can also do art and sensory play activities at home. I'm sure there would be endless ways by which he can dabble into crayons, into watercolor. He can have art materials like clay, and then you can have pretend play, and these are exciting activities that your children will not get bored with. You can also look into downloadable activity sheets that are available in the internet. What I do is I print several copies and then photocopy it, and then I ask my son to fill it out when he's in the mood. When he's not in the mood, I don't force him. I just allow him to play and develop, and when he's ready, like he sits and I bring down the activity sheets and he starts coloring or he starts following the shapes, then you'll know that he's ready for these kinds of activities. To address the social development dimension, I'd suggest that you schedule play dates. You may have friends who have kids of the same age, so it would be best to come together once a week or more often to just play. Bring their favorite toys so that they can play together and they can share, they can learn to share their toys, and they can learn to play with other children their age. So, is your child ready for school? What do you think? What's the answer? My answer is it all depends. There's no universal perfect age. In reality, you as parents would be the best judge of when the children will be ready. And besides, the home is the best place to learn. Not just their ABCs, but their virtues of faith, hope, and love. Remember, our children are God's gifts to us. And they are special, and they deserve only the best. This is Maricel Badilla for Family and Life Updates. Thank you and good evening. Now I give you back to Javi and Bianca.
Thank you, Sel.
That was really interesting. How did you know when your daughter was ready for school?
Well, first of all, she was eligible because she was,
The age.
she turned 3 in April, so that's right on time for June.
Well, I have 2 daughters in school now. The second one, because of K-12, she had to go to school earlier than we expected.
She's
and
about the same
higher
age
grade,
as my daughter.
She had to enter Kinder 2. So, well, she was excited because when her ate was going to school, she would always ask if she could go to school as well. So we kind of knew she was ready. And then we tested her over the summer, have a thrice a week school, and she was really, and now she's doing well.
Baby school.
Yeah, and she's doing really well. I'm very proud of you, baby. That's it this week. Read more about these stories at familyandlifeupdate.com. We are on Facebook too. Just search for Family Life Update. And on Twitter, it's official FLiQ. Do not forget to subscribe to our FLiQ Media channel here on YouTube.
Thanks for watching us. Share the word about us, Family and Life Update.
Know the issues, make a stand, follow Family and Life Update. And for our quote this week from actor Michael J. Fox, family is not an important thing, it is everything. Good night, God bless you and your families.